Hello and welcome. We are interviewing Dr. Granita Latham, Interim Superintendent of HISD. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of our Board of Directors, we thank you for joining us today. Dr. Latham, very big announcement from you.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Many thousands and thousands of parents are eager to get more details about your announcement. So let's start there for folks who may not know what happened.
I'm delaying the start of the school year until Tuesday, September 8th. At that time, all students will complete their instruction virtually. We will make available laptops or Chromebooks for any student that does not have access to a device, and including a hotspot in case they do not have internet accessibility. Students and parents can contact their school if they do not have access to technology. Starting August the 3rd, they can contact our hotline, 713-556-4636, to receive additional information. Also, every school will send out information to their parents via email, via a phone call, and our principals will be holding parent meetings virtually, or parents can listen in via the telephone.
Dr. Latham, this decision did not come easy. I know that you've been working with the state, with TEA, with teachers and others. How did you arrive to this decision, and what else do you need to do to make sure that children and teacher staff are protected under all of the things that we're facing with COVID-19?
Well, thank you so much. You're right for pointing that out. It was a difficult decision to make because I do believe that children benefit from face-to-face instruction. But based on the health conditions in our city, looking at the data from our county judge, the information from the county judge's office, our mayor's office, around the high number of positive cases in the city. Also, we surveyed all of our teachers and our parents. We had over 67,000 parents that responded that they were uncomfortable sending their children back to school. Our teachers, only 14% of the 7,000 teachers that responded felt comfortable returning back to their campuses.
What should parents expect to see in terms of changes in the classroom to keep everyone as safe as possible?
We will have signage when we return face-to-face. There will be signage directing students about physical distancing. Classrooms or desks will be 6 feet apart. All classroom teachers will have supplies, hand sanitizer, wipes, all cleaning materials. Temperature checks will be administered when staff and students enter into a building. There will be extra custodial staff to help with cleaning our bathrooms frequently, and cleaning high-touch areas. And so those safety measures will be put in place. Every staff member and every student will receive a mask daily. It will be a requirement as long as the order is in place here and we have a health crisis to wear masks. Also, identified special education teachers will have gloves and additional disposable gowns to wear for those that work with medically fragile students.
So let's go back to the cleaning in the rooms. For elementary, I'm sure you're going to have protocols. Middle schools, high schoolers, especially the middle school, high schoolers, so they're rotating from class to class. Any changes there?
We've discussed that instead of the students rotating initially, that teachers would rotate so that we can limit movement in the hallways and interactions. We've also discussed breakfast and lunch in the classrooms, especially at our elementary levels, and also definitely limiting movement and interactions with students and staff members throughout the course of a day.
Sports, extracurricular activities, how are you handling that?
Well, as long as we're virtual, extracurricular activities will not occur. We are waiting for some additional guidance from UIL, and once we receive that guidance, we'll make the decision. But as long as we are a level 1 and health and on red as our COVID gauge, our students will not be involved in extracurricular activities, especially sports.
School busing, transportation.
Transportation, when we return face-to-face, will be provided on a limited basis initially to special education students, homeless students, and identified priority students, as long as we need to implement physical distancing. But we're going to do everything we can to get all students to school that need transportation.
A lot of parents are concerned that if there is an outbreak in a school, for example, that may impact just that school. Or from your perspective, can you help parents understand what the protocol will be if there is an outbreak at one school or multiple schools? How will you, put a plan? What's the plan that is in place for that?
Well, we will have a contingency plan. So if there's an outbreak at one particular school and we need to close that school, within 24 hours, that school will move and revert back to virtual learning. If it's several schools, the same thing. There's already a plan in place that we move back into virtual learning. So we might be in face-to-face and virtual throughout the course of the 2021 school year, but we will be prepared so that there's not a lag time in between face-to-face and going back virtual again.
So we know that you're partnering with Houston Endowment, corporate folks, elected officials, especially at the state and county level. What are some of the other resources that HISD needs to undertake this huge task?
Well, number one, we have a 24-hour mental health hotline where parents and students can call and receive assistance. And so we are looking for support to be able to continue to operate that hotline throughout the course of the school year, as opposed to just during like business hours, because we know after hours and weekends are when sometimes people are in crisis and they need that contact. Of course, any additional support that our elected officials and any community partners would like to assist us via purchasing additional technology, because, technology does break down, and so we want to be able to have a backup. And so if people are interested in supporting us, they can also make donations through the to the HISD Foundation.
The Houston Chronicle applauded the decision that you and HISD made in terms of slowing down the re-entry into schools for our children and the protection of teachers. When we look at the NBA, the MLB, and other large national sporting organizations that have upon millions of dollars, who have stumbled, who've had challenges, help reassure us that the children and teachers and staff of HISD will be protected given the restraints on your budget.
And, they will be protected, and that's why we had to slow things down. We're looking at all of the precautions those organizations are taking so that we can also learn some lessons for them as we transition back to face-to-face. And we've also mocked up some schools across the district as our model schools of what safety will look like when our students return face-to-face. And what we'll be doing is bringing in teachers in small groups, individually, separately, for them to take a look at their classroom, take a look at the physical environment to see if they feel comfortable with their interactions with students as we're preparing. So we're going to try to transition and ease people back in and relieve some of that stress and anxiety around returning face-to-face.
Yes. And so in your opinion, what are some of the things that parents can do between now and getting back to school? What advice do you have for parents who are struggling not only with their employment, life, death, all of those things? What advice do you have for them?
Number one, reach out to their schools and share with them their needs. We have wraparound specialists available to assist our parents. Contact our hotline, contact the mental health hotline. Also, from August the 24th through September 3rd, which August the 24th was the initial first day of school, we're going to be offering academic enrichment camps to get students reacclimated and get them ready for the first school. And so be on the lookout for that information. And I'd love to come back and share that with you as we get closer to be able to publicize that to our families.
And once again, Dr. Latham, that phone number for parents.
Beginning August the 3rd, 713-556-4636.
And we'll post this information on the Chamber's website. Follow us on social media. We'll have more information. And Dr. Latham, we wish you well. We appreciate the leadership of your board and all of the teachers throughout the greater Houston region for the great work that they do. And we're all praying that we can get through COVID-19. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce radio television program. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo. We've got a great guest today joining us, and that is Dave Millett, CEO of United Healthcare, representing Texas and Oklahoma, and former board member of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Dave, it's great to see you, even if it's just virtually.
Same here, Laura. It's great to see your face, and hopefully soon we'll be back to normal and be able to see each other in person.
I hope so, and as an optimist, I firmly believe there are a lot of smart people working around the clock across across the globe coming up with a vaccine, and we'll be stronger as a result of this. We've just got to get through this. So
Agree.
thanks to United Healthcare. You've been a great partner to us, and came to us with the idea many years ago of a health summit. And since then, you guys have been by our side for that and so many other things. So let's talk about United Healthcare.
You know, for us, obviously, we're seeing a lot of the things that you're seeing in the community. You know, in my area in particular, we serve most of our customers are small businesses. And so some of the things that we're trying to do in support of our community and in support of our customers are remove some of the barriers, perhaps, be it economic barriers for people to seek care who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 or maybe haven't even been diagnosed but need to seek care. And then also, frankly, one of the things that we've done, I'm very, very proud of our organization, is we've returned premium dollars. So with the onslaught of COVID-19, our general medical costs, you know, what the portion of premium that our customers pay us that go to pay medical claims was reduced because people couldn't access care because of some of the mandates that were there, which meant that we had extra premium dollars that we've returned to many of our customers as a small way of trying to help them in a very, very difficult time. I mean, I've been doing this for now over 30 years, and I've never experienced anything like this in my career. And so these are definitely unprecedented times, and I'm very proud of United Healthcare in how we've really sought to support our customers and the communities that we serve.
What are some of the things that people can find and should look for on your website, whether they're your clients or not?
Yeah, you know, I think we try to promote and give people the ability to be able to see where they can seek out appropriate levels of care. We also have tried to provide sort of information around COVID-19, sort of fact versus rumor, and you know, I always encourage people to try to sift through and find out really what's fact and what's rumor, because again, it's scary for individuals who may, whether they have or think they have the virus or not. They need to seek out information in the most easy way, and we try to make that available to them.
Small business, a big part of the portfolio and footprint of United Healthcare, certainly something that we have in common with you all. What can you say to small businesses, and what is perhaps an opportunity as it relates to healthcare and their choices?
Yeah, so, you know, for us, the vast majority of our customers are small, and small being fewer than 50 employees. And it is the backbone of our economy. You know, what we've been trying to do and what we would encourage people to do is look at options. There are a lot of opportunities and options for employers to save money on their employee benefit programs without cutting back on the benefits that they provide. I'll give you one example. Here in Houston, we have a partnership with the Kelsey-Seybold Clinic. It's a product called Charter. And it can provide as much as 20% savings in premium dollars to an employer, to a small employer or large employer, without increasing deductibles and co-payments and things like that. And the reality is it's because Kelsey does a very, very good job of providing high quality, cost-effective care. So that's one small area in which small employers can save dollars. I would also point to a product we call All Savers, which again is another way in which employers can reduce their benefit costs potentially without sacrificing the benefits that they come to know and to provide their employees and their families.
Is there anything in particular that you think is important for people to take notice of right now?
If there's been one bright spot of the COVID-19 pandemic, it has been the receptivity that people have had to have, frankly, both providers and patients around interactions like this, right? Our ability to be able to interact electronically has also transformed the way care can be delivered. So I would encourage people to look at those options as safe ways to be able to have care provided to them. And I would say, I would be remiss without frankly thanking the frontline healthcare workers who are literally putting themselves in harm's way every day to make sure that we're taken care of.
Thank United Healthcare for investing in the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and throughout and across the country. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lauda. Be safe, everybody.
Okay, thanks a lot. Dave Millett, CEO of United Healthcare. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll be back. Well, we're back. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of our Board of Directors, we thank you for joining us, and we're so happy to have one of our partners with us today here on television and on radio, and that is none other than our friend from Texas Southern University. He is the interim president. TSU has been a long-standing partner and certainly a legacy here in the Houston area and throughout Texas. Thanks for joining us, Ken. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Well, let's start out with, first of all, Texas Southern University. As mentioned, some phenomenal alums who graduated, who walked the halls of TSU. Certainly here in the Houston area, a true gem in higher education. So congratulations on being named interim president, and we're happy to have you on the program. Let's get started by just learning a little bit more about Texas Southern and how you guys are coping with COVID.
Well, I tell you, it's Texas Southern. It truly is a gem. It's a great honor to serve in this capacity. First of all, let me say that, and see the impact of our work daily on the lives of our students, and actually watch them become the future leaders, as you know. TSU is an inspiring place to work. You know, where else can you go to work and hear the Ocean of Soul marching band right outside your window, or walk out the back door of your office and onto Tiger Walk and see some of the great work of artists of our time. We've got an outstanding legacy of advocacy and legal minds who, like I said, have shaped our city, our state, and our nation. And they all got their training at TSU. The diversity on our campus is a growing reflection of the diversity of Houston. While TSU was established back in 1927 to educate African American students during segregation, TSU today is a melting pot, including our international students, Asian, white, and our Hispanic population, which currently is 9% of our student enrollment. We offer more than 100 undergraduate and graduate programs, offering degrees in areas like maritime, transportation management, or aviation science management to prepare our students for the workforce. So definitely a gem, and we'd love for people to come see us.
And affordability. I've been to your campus on a variety of opportunities, including, you guys, having some major events there on campus. Affordability, when you talk to the students, seems to be one of the many reasons they choose Texas Southern University. And the great thing is many of them stay here in Houston. So we're growing our own, and they're giving back to the community. Let's talk about affordability, because let's face it, going to college is expensive. It's almost, for many families, out of reach, but we know there's financial aid and scholarships. And again, let's talk about that.
Yes, many of our students, as you know, are first generation college students. And, like myself, they come from low socioeconomic backgrounds, and we recognize that. And I think that's probably that HBCU experience of nurturing students or whatever, but we recognize that. We've actually haven't had a tuition and fee increase in 3 years. And that's not to say expenses haven't gone up, but we understand the pressures on our students and try to make sure that we can be attractive. We spend a lot of time going out fundraising and having galas to raise money for need-based, but we're also going to continue to do that. That's my role, is to go out and really increase our deal with our philanthropic community and our business communities that are really wanting to get behind us, because we are preparing the workforce for the future. And this is one of those times where we want to make it an affordable education for them, but also a special education with what we have here in Houston.
Absolutely. And as we're navigating COVID, I know that, like HISD, by the way, we just got off an interview with interim superintendent from HISD.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you all are doing to protect your faculty, your staff, and students? And what does the fall look like for Texas Southern University?
Well, this time is like no other. We've not only in higher education, but in our society, and we've been preparing for our return to Tigerland for a number of months now. But I'll also tell you that we've been preparing with a pencil, because things keep changing so quickly that whatever plan we start off with in the morning, we'll hear something later that day, and we've got to change and pivot and go in a little different direction. But our intention is to come back to Tigerland with a hybrid or remote type of learning environment. And with that, we have to make sure that the health and safety of our students, our faculty, and our staff is most important. And so with that, we've been spending our time with our critical staff coming back and readying the campus. We've had a deep clean already. We're working on social distancing for our learning environments. We've removed chairs, desks or whatever. We've put up shields. Signage is all over the place. Again, trying to ensure that when we do return, we'll have an environment that will help contain the spread. We also have we'll be requiring masks to be worn. We're doing PPEs. We got gel around. We got signage that tell you go wash your hands. Just a number of things that we've been hearing for the last 4 months, but we want to make sure that not only are you hearing it, you're seeing it.
And we want them to be seen wearing their mask, and hopefully you won't need to wear masks long, because we're confident a vaccine is around the corner. But we've got a vendor and one of our small business owners that can prepare that, TSU logo on the side of masks for your students. And I want to give you the opportunity to share with our audience anything else folks should know before we wrap up the interview about Texas Southern University.
Absolutely. I would want to say that, one of the benefits of being at an HBCU is our nurturing environment. It's part of our ethos. We know our students. We're of a size that where you're not just a number. Students actually can email me directly, and then we can assess their needs and connect with them with the right services and our aid that they might need. When we went into this COVID-19 pandemic, we established a Tiger Aid emergency fund for our students to help them through, some of the needs that they would have immediately at that time, whether it be groceries or gas for their cars. And then we also had the CARES Act that actually provided some funding to assist our students as well. With COVID, we recognized immediately that the digital divide disproportionately affected our students. So we worked with them, to close the technology gap. And we started off by sending them mobile hotspots to their residents so that they could complete their semester online. We know that education provides hope and mobility. We want our students and the public to know that learning never stops at TSU. We're enrolling students right now for the fall semester, and we invite students to join us and become a TSU Tiger.
Well, go Tigers. Thank you so much. Ken Hewitt, Interim President of Texas Southern University and great corporate partner to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Stay safe. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Wear your mask.
Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo. Joining us today is Marie Arcos. She is Vice President of the YMCA and great friend of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an interesting year, Marie. The last time I saw you was actually at the Chamber's last event that was sponsored by the Y, and we had a great conversation about the many initiatives, activities, all of the resources that you provide to the community. That's the last time we saw each other, which was in March. A lot has happened since. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on at the YMCA today.
Okay, yeah, so much has changed in the past 4 months, but what hasn't changed is the YMCA responding immediately to the crisis that the pandemic put our city and nation in those crisis moments. We continue to be a resource to the community. We shifted and we changed the way we're doing our work, but because we do community outreach work every day, we just ramped that up. So we started food distribution straight away, essential childcare for our essential workers, and then also outreach to our seniors who were, beginning to feel very isolated. So We didn't stop. When our buildings closed down, we continued to work with our communities very strongly.
So what are some of the things that you all are putting in place today? Summertime, typically your camps, your facilities would be full. What's occurring today?
Yeah, the current today is very different, but we are very optimistic in terms of how we'll continue to play a strong part in strengthening our communities as we respond and we recover from COVID. Currently, we are offering summer day camp programs across the city. So we have 25 YMCA buildings across the greater Houston area. Some of those buildings are exclusive for social distant, physical, and wellness programs. So our pools are open, our outdoor classes for group exercise are operating in the very early mornings and the late afternoons when it's cooler in Houston. So we're allowing people to get out of their homes and use their bodies and release the energy and, you know, create that physical well-being. In our other centers, we're separating them out so that we can ensure that the safety protocols and the distancing is in place so that we can serve children during summer day camp programs and in early care programs.
Yes. Well, and something that's really important is the volunteers, that many young people and others go out and volunteer with the Y. How can people help support the Y today?
Yeah, so that's just been a big struggle because that is a huge part of the work that we do. And even in the food distribution, since we started in March, we've served over 700,000 individuals and 7 million pounds of food in partnership with the Houston Food Bank and Montgomery County Food Bank and Brighter Bites. But we've done it just with staff because we knew that we can't ensure every time a volunteer comes in, even though we do the health screenings and temperature checks, we just weren't confident enough to know that we wouldn't contribute to the spread of the virus. So we've been very contained in the way we staff. Even in our staffing, we're not sending them across town to substitute or anything. So we're keeping our groups in pods so that we can really determine how they're interacting with each other and with the community to help reduce the spread so we can stay open and we can stay relevant to the work that's being done. In the food distribution, we were serving up to 30 sites a week. That's a lot. And right now we are doing about 10 to 12 sites a week. And we're using the guidance from the food bank in terms of where are the hot spots. But the amazing thing is, I was looking at the numbers before our interview, in the East End, the North Side, Aldine, our very underserved communities, the numbers really haven't changed since beginning of March to what we're serving now. We're still serving anywhere from 1,200 to 1,800 families each time we have a distribution.
Well, and we know that this has impacted all of the greater Houston region, from everything from food to housing to education. We had the superintendent from HISD on the live Facebook this morning and looking at what those plans will be like for families. So you guys play such a vital and important role. Anything that we can do to help support, promote the great work of the YMCA, you can count on us. Before we close, Marie, anything else you'd like to say?
I just want to say a couple of things really quickly about going back to school. We've had 4 months under our belt in ensuring all the safety protocols. So we are working hand in hand and we're revising. We have 2, 3, 4 different models on how we can support our working families as they decide whether or not they will go back into the school or if they're going to stay at home. We have launched so many virtual programs through our membership for our teams and everyone to keep us connected. So we are working hand in hand with all of our school districts to make sure that we can be that support system. Originally, we're in 200 after-school programs prior to COVID, and we want to make sure that we can be there for our families. And to your point on how we can enlist the community, our businesses, we just want them to know that we are working hand in hand to get our economy up and running. And childcare is one of the most essential pieces. And we have some of the most qualified youth development workers and the safety pieces in place. So they can ask us questions. They can tell us their concerns about bringing the children back out into the communities and let us help assure them that we're doing the best that we can to work with them to get our economy back up and running safely.
Well, we want to thank you and everyone at the YMCA for being a great corporate partner to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Have a great day and thanks again for all you do.
Okay, thank you.